This episode contains mature language and adult situations.
Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, my unfortunate friends. How is it that you dared stumble into my caverns of the abyss? I am ancient. I am eternal. I have been shackled here for millennia, festering in shadows and silence, growing stronger with your pain and suffering. It was the poison of your darkest thoughts that summoned you to me. I am the Shadow Dweller, your warden, your tormentor, your only companion until the abyss swallows you whole. I have ripped open the portal between the nether realm and your fragile world. My brothers and I are unbound at last, and we come to enslave, to torment, to savor the chorus of your screams. As you trembled in fear, we fed. As you suffered, we grew strong. And now we unleash upon you new nightmares, twisted tales, ghastly and gruesome stories of the macabre, chronicles of horrors beyond imagining. Your souls will be harvested, one by one, until none remain. Welcome to Into the Abyss, Morbid Morsals podcast.
This morbid morsel is called the Harvester of Souls.
Every town's got that one house. You know the one. The place that goes all out for Halloween. Lights, fog, screams echoing through the neighborhood like a carnival from hell. A house that makes you wonder, how far would someone go to make it feel real? Sometimes the monsters aren't in costumes. They called it the Harvesters of Souls. But nobody really knew what was waiting inside.
My name's Ethan Ward, and what I'm about to tell you, it's something I've never said out loud. Not to a cop, not to my parents, not even to a shrink. It's been 31 years, but I still remember the lights, the music, the screams. They used to call it the Harvesters of Souls. Every Halloween, the guy who lived there, Mr. Rayburn, turned his yard into the biggest, loudest, scariest haunted attraction in town. He made the rest of the neighborhood look like amateurs. When I was a kid, Halloween was my favorite night of the year. The whole town of Briar Falls came alive. Pumpkins on every porch, skeletons dangling from trees, fog rolling off the lawns like smoke from a witch's cauldron. But none of that compared to Rayburn's place. He lived at the end of the cul-de-sac, an old 2-story house with a wraparound porch and dead ivy crawling up the sides. During October, he transformed it into a nightmare. You could hear it before you saw it. The music, the chainsaws, the recorded screams. Every year it got more elaborate. Animatronics, motion lights, hidden speakers in the bushes. He even dressed up himself. One year, he was a vampire. Another, a butcher with a bloody apron. But the year I'm talking about, the last year, he went all out. It was like Hollywood had come to our little town. He called it the Harvest of Souls. And people came from 3 counties over just to see it. News crews showed up, local radio stations. They interviewed him on TV, asked how he pulled it all off. He just smiled with those nicotine-stained teeth and said, "I like to make it real." You ever notice how people ignore the ugly stuff right in front of them? That fall, a few kids went missing. A brother and sister from Lincoln Elementary, then another kid from the next town over. Cops said they probably ran away, or maybe got lost in the woods. But I remember thinking how weird it was that every one of them disappeared around Halloween. And every one of them had been to Rayburn's haunted house. My mom didn't believe me when I said it. She said, "Ethan, honey, don't start with that nonsense. Mr. Rayburn's a nice man. He's just festive." Festive. That's what she called him. I used to ride my bike past his house after school just to see what he was building that year. There were tarps everywhere. Lumber stacked against the garage. Plywood walls going up like a maze. Sometimes I saw other people helping him. Not neighbors, not anyone I recognized. They were quiet, kept to themselves, worked late into the night. I thought maybe they were part of his crew, volunteers or something. But now I know better. Halloween, 1994. I was 12 years old. That night is burned into my head like a brand. The air smelled like rain and candy corn. The street was full of kids in costumes, pirates, ghosts, superheroes. I remember seeing the glow of Rayburn's house from a block away. Orange and purple lights flashing. Fog so thick it looked alive. The line wrapped around the block. When we finally reached the front yard, I saw what everyone was talking about. Real coffins, a spinning scarecrow and a cross, a fake cemetery with names carved into the stones. Some of them had real dates. And then there were the actors, screaming, chasing people with plastic machetes. They looked too real. The blood looked wet. My friend Kyle nudged me and whispered, "Dude, he must use real pig guts or something." I laughed, but my stomach turned. There was a smell, sweet and sour like rotting meat under the fog. We went in as a group of 6, me, Kyle, and 4 other kids from school. Rayburn stood at the entrance wearing a burlap mask. He didn't speak, just waved us in with a gloved hand. The first room was like a butcher shop. Meat hooks hanging from the ceiling. Blood-splattered tiles. Something was twitching on one of the tables. Looked animatronic, but the smell made me gag. Kyle poked it with a stick. It made a sound. A wet sound. Then we heard a faint whisper. "Help! Me!" We all froze. Then the lights flickered and a chainsaw roared from the next room, making us jump. We ran screaming, laughing, thinking it was all part of the show. But in the corner of my eye, I saw movement. Something crawling. A hand. It reached out from under one of the tables. I thought it was fake, until it grabbed my shoe. The deeper we went, the worse it got. There were figures hanging from rafters, people in cages. Some of them moved. And the sound effects, crying, begging, they didn't sound recorded. In the next room, we found a guy in a hooded cloak holding a lantern. He was chanting something. Latin, maybe. Behind him was a circle drawn in blood, or paint, I hoped, with bones arranged in a pattern. He said, "The harvest feeds the roots. The roots feed the soil. The soil feeds the flesh. Then he turned off the lantern, and everything went black. We ran, crashing into walls, bumping into each other, laughing because we were terrified but convinced it was a performance. That's what Rayburn wanted. He wanted us to think it was all a game. But then Kyle tripped. I turned back. Something pulled him into the dark. I heard him scream once, then nothing. When the lights came back on, he was gone. We came out into the backyard, or what I thought was the backyard. It was fenced in with black tarp. There were spotlights, fake tombstones, and a path leading to the basement door. People ahead of us were laughing, saying it was the final scare. Rayburn appeared again, standing by the door, his burlap mask wet and dark around the mouth. He said, "This way to the harvest." I remember his voice. Calm, slow, like he was savoring every word. I should have run, but the crowd behind us pushed forward and I went with them. The basement smelled like bleach and something else, that same sweet, sick smell. There were bags on the floor, heavy black ones, and a drain in the middle of the concrete. I thought it was part of the set, until one of the bags moved. We were halfway through when I heard a faint tapping sound from under the floorboards, like someone knocking. Then a muffled voice. "Please, let me out." I stopped walking. The others didn't even notice. They were laughing, trying to scare each other. I crouched down, put my ear to the floor. And that's when I realized there were multiple voices. Children, whispering, crying. Then the music kicked in again. A loud organ track that drowned everything out. The floor vibrated under my hands, like something was moving beneath it. I backed away and bumped into someone. When I turned around, it wasn't one of my friends. It was one of those hooded figures. He grabbed my arm and said, "You're next." I ran through a doorway, down a narrow hall lined with mirrors. The reflections warped and twisted like carnival glass. Every few steps, I saw my face, pale, scared, and behind me, those hooded shapes. At the end of the hall, there was another door. I pushed it open and stumbled into a large room lit by red bulbs. Tables, tools, and bodies. Not props, not fake. Real people. Some hung on hooks, some still moving. One girl looked right at me. Her mouth was sewn shut. She tried to scream through the stitches. I remember whispering, "I'll get help." But I didn't. I ran. I don't know how I found the exit. Everything was smoke and screaming and laughter. The crowd outside thought it was part of the show. I tore through the side of the maze, ripped down part of a tarp, and ran into the woods behind Rayburn's house. I didn't stop running until I reached the highway. Cars honked, people shouted. I must have looked like a lunatic, covered in fake blood and mud. A cop eventually found me. I told him what I saw. He drove me back there. But by the time we got to Willow Lane, the yard was empty. No lights, no props, no bodies. Just an ordinary house. They said I was imagining things, that the screams and the gore were part of the show. They found nothing in the basement. No bags, no cages. And Rayburn? He was gone. Vanished. Neighbors said he moved away the next morning. Over the next few weeks, cops drained the old quarry outside town. They dug through woods and empty lots, but they never found him. Or Kyle. Years passed. People forgot. The story turned into a legend. The haunted house that was too real. Kids dared each other to sneak up to the place after dark. It sat abandoned for a while, then someone new bought it. Tore down the maze, built a new garage. Life moved on. Except for me. I couldn't sleep. Every Halloween, I'd see flashes in my dreams. The burlap mask, the girl with her mouth sewn shut, the voices under the floor. I started collecting newspaper clippings, police reports, missing persons files. And guess what? Every town Rayburn ever lived in, kids had gone missing. Always around Halloween. He'd just pack up and move before anyone caught on. A few years ago, I got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside was a VHS tape. The label said, Harvest 94. I borrowed an old player from a friend and watched it. It was grainy, shot from multiple angles. You could see the haunted house, the crowd, the decorations. At first, it looked like home movie footage. Families laughing, kids screaming. Then the camera moved inside. The basement. I saw myself. A little kid, terrified, standing by the drain. And behind me, Rayburn. He looked right at the camera and whispered, "Your blood will be added to the harvest with all the others." Then the screen went black. You might be wondering why I'm telling you this now. Because last week I got a call from a detective in Ohio. They found a house in a small town outside Dayton. The owner had turned it into a Halloween attraction. House of the Harvest. Inside they found 7 missing kids, buried in the walls. And in the basement, carved into the concrete, were the words, "The roots feed the soil." The detective sent me a photo of the man they arrested. He's older now. White hair, wrinkles, but it's him. Rayburn. He even smiled for the mugshot. And on the back of the photo, someone had written in red ink, "We still make it real." Tonight's Halloween again. I live 3 states away, but the sound of kids laughing outside still makes my chest tighten. Every year I keep my lights off. No decorations, no candy. Someone knocked. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I looked through the peephole, there was a kid standing there, maybe 12 years old, wearing a burlap mask. He said, "Trick or treat, Mr. Ward." Then he whispered, "The harvest feeds the soil." I don't know who sent that kid. Maybe it was just a prank. Or maybe Rayburn wasn't working alone. The cops in Ohio said there were others, a network. They called themselves the Harvesters. They'd move town to town every October, setting up haunted houses, finding new victims, feeding the soil. If you ever find yourself standing in line at a haunted house, and you smell something sweet and rotten, and everything looks a bit too real, turn around, walk away. Because not every scream you hear is part of the show.
Well, that's one way to win Best Decorated Yard. Who says a little blood, sweat, and tears can't make your Halloween shine? Just maybe not literally. So what did we learn tonight? Maybe it's that obsession can be deadly. Maybe it's that people will ignore anything as long as it looks festive enough. Or maybe it's just safer to stick with inflatable ghosts and battery-powered pumpkins. the shadows are closing in. Myself and my brothers, the bringers of darkness, retreat to our lair. But do not be deceived. Our hunger is never sated. Your fear, your suffering, your screams, they will linger with us until we return. But know this, you cannot hide. We will hunt you down. We will find you. And when the abyss calls again, it will already be too late. We're already closer than you think. You can run. The shadows run faster. Next time, we take more than your fear. The abyss never lets go. Until then, this has been Into the Abyss, Morbid Morsals podcast. Sleep if you dare.
Into the Abyss Morbid Morsals podcast has been a Darkshogun production in association with Twisted Souls Media. Hi, I'm Troy Bursch, creator and producer of this horrific show. Please like, subscribe, download, and be sure to hit the notification bell. That way you'll get a heads up every time a new episode drops. Dare to listen. But beware, every story pulls you deeper into the dark. Hello, my friends. Since your suffering and pain are so enjoyable, be sure to check out my Linktree. Linktree.ee/Into the Abyss podcast. There you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, Threads, and X. Listen to the show on your favorite podcast platforms. Listen to DJ Trill Am and We Are Legion for the dope music tracks that'll keep your heads nodding. Support the show. Please consider leaving me a 5-star rating and review wherever you can. It really helps get the show in front of more listeners who enjoy short horror story podcasts. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Drop me a comment or question on Spotify's Q&A feature. I'll definitely respond. Help the show grow. Thanks again for listening and downloading. Please share the show with friends, family, or anyone who loves horror. Word of mouth is the only way we can grow. And remember, if you don't, I'll be seeing you soon in your darkest nightmares.
Ultra Subsonic by DJ Trilla.